If your truck is going to spend any time off pavement, whether it be for work or recreation, if you want space for larger wheels and tires, or if you're just looking for an added dose of aggressive style, then these Fender Flares are going to be an excellent choice for your 2009 to 2014 F-150. They give you plenty of coverage and rugged good looks for about one of the best prices in the segment. Adding a set of Fender Flares is an excellent way to update not just the look, but also the functionality of your truck. In addition to providing good looks, a set like these can give your truck some additional protection while you're on the trail or at the job site. Now, these are what would be referred to as pocket-style flares. If you're not familiar with the term, pocket-style refers to these indents or pockets around the outer edge of the flare itself. These typically have rivets or bolts in them, and in some cases, those pockets are functional, where those bolts are going to be used to actually attach the flare to the fender of the truck. In other cases, they're just ornamental, as is the setup here, where the bolts don't actually contact the body of the truck, which means that you don't have to drill these holes into your truck's fenders. So there won't be issues with rust or rotting later on down the line. Now, this set is also finished in matte black, which adds an additional air of ruggedness. Now, that's not to say that these are just for looks though. I only have two of them up here on the table, and that's mostly because, as you can see, these things are pretty huge. The fronts are 7 inches high, the rears are 8.5 inches high, and they cover 0.75 inches and 1.25 inches of additional tire, respectively. So that means they're pretty wide as well. So if you're out on the job site or you're hitting the trail, they're going to provide you some excellent protection against obstacles and impacts you might encounter. Now, that size also makes them perfect if you've got larger wheels and tires, or if you're planning to fit them down the road a bit. These are going to help keep the body of your truck from getting marred up by rocks or other debris that those larger or wider wheels and tires may kick up. Now, again, I only have two up here on the table, but these are only for one side of the truck. In the kit, you are going to receive a full set of 4 flares, so the whole truck will be covered. The flares are made from polypropylene plastic, and they're finished in matte black. So of course you can mount these up right as they come out of the box. And black of course complements any paint color very well. And the matte finish just adds a little extra something to the mix. But you have the option to paint these too if you want, because of that material. So if your build is leaning a bit more towards subtlety, you want them color matched, or you want to do a contrasting color, you've got the option to do that too. Polypropylene is renowned and used widely in the automotive world because it is nice and light, and it's also very strong. These, as you can see, have a little bit of give to them, so if you do happen to hit something with them, they're going to take the hit and come away pretty much unscathed. The kit also comes with weather stripping for the top edge to help avoid paint damage, and everything you need to get them installed, short of the tools, is included in the box. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. Pricing will come in at about $300 for the set, and for the size and coverage you get here, that is really a good price. These are definitely on the more affordable side of the spectrum, and if you want that aggressive look but don't want to spend a ton of money, these will be the perfect fit, and they're going to give you tons of coverage, much more than most others in the category. As far as installation goes, these get an easy 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter. Now, it is going to take you some time to get them installed, figure about an hour or so, maybe a little bit more, but the install process is pretty straightforward. Again, you get all the new hardware you need included in the kit, and these are designed to bolt on using your factory flare mounting locations. And to show you what's involved now, let's head on out to the shop where we'll walk you through the process step by step.
Tools required for this install include a ratchet, scissors or diagonal cutters, Phillips head socket, 5.5mm and 10mm sockets. What's up guys? Today we're installing Fender Flares on our F-150, so let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is assemble our Fender Flare. I'm gonna start with the rivet portion of this. We have a bolt going through the front, and then a flat washer and a nut on the back side. So now we're gonna put that bolt in from the front, drop a washer on top, and then thread on the nut, and just do that all the way across your flare. Once you have those all in place, you can tighten it down with a 13mm socket on the nut side and a T45 torque socket on the bolt side. Next, we need to put this rubber molding around this top edge of our flare. Now there's going to be a sticky side on here that has double-sided tape. You want the double-sided tape on the inside here. So I'm just going to separate this so that I can pull the backing. And I'm going to lay it down right on the edge and stick it. And I'm just going to work this around a little section at a time and then peel my tape to stick it down. Now once I'm at the corner, I'm going to line this up and take a pair of scissors or diagonal cutters to trim off the excess. And now you can repeat that same exact process for your other 3 flares. Next, we're going to assemble our inner mounting bracket for the front flare. Now we have these 3 clips that we're going to be sliding on here, here, and here. These 3 holes are going to bolt up to a factory location on the truck. So we're just going to be sliding these on. You want the flat side facing this way, and then just line it up with those holes. Do that same thing for the other bracket, and then we can start mounting these up. So now we're in the front wheel well. We need to remove 3 screws so that we can mount up that bracket. We've got one right here. There's one in the same spot on the other side, and then there's one at the top here. Now I'm missing the one at the top, so I just have my 2 on the outside. Take a 5.5 millimeter socket and remove the 2 screws. Now remove the top and do the same on the other side. So now we're going to install that bracket. We're going to be putting our screws through these 3 holes into the holes that we removed them out of. Once again, I only have 2, so I'm going to get the 2 on the ends. And then take my 5 millimeter Allen socket and tighten them down. Now, last thing we need to do is remove this screw on our little rock guard. So 5.5 millimeter Allen socket, pull that out. So now we're going to raise our flare up into place. We're going to take 3 of our included screws and thread into the U-clips on that mounting bracket. Just get it lined up. Start threading in your screws. I've got a Phillips head bit. Just gonna run it in enough so that it holds for now while I get the other 2 in. And I've got my 3rd one back here. Now we're going to come down to this bottom corner and reinstall that screw that we removed. Now on our front hole, you are going to have to drill into the plastic panel behind this and then run a self-tapping screw in there that's included in the kit. Now for demonstration purposes, we're not going to be drilling into that plastic piece, but now that you have it bolted on everywhere else, you can line it up exactly where you want it and just run a drill bit through there and then run your self-tapper in. So now moving on to the rear, we need to remove 2 bolts. It's going to be right underneath of the bed, right behind the wheel, and then there's one in the exact same place on the other side. So I'm going to take a 10 millimeter socket, remove this, and then we'll do that over there as well. So now we're ready to install our fender flare. Now the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to put those 2 bolts in that we removed to hold the bottom of our flare, and then we can use that to line up where we need to put our clips. So everywhere that there's a hole in the flare, we're going to use one of these clips. We also have this protective pad. So we're going to wrap the pad around the fender like that so that we don't scratch up the paint. And then your clip is going to just slide on there just like that. And then we have a screw that we're going to run up into that hole. So now we're going to raise the flare up into place. And I'm going to hop under and put in that bolt. And I'm just gonna run it in a little bit. I'm not gonna fully tighten it down right now. And then I'm gonna hop over to the other side and do the same thing. Now we're just gonna do that same thing on this side. And I'm just gonna run it in a little bit, but not fully tighten it down. So now with our flare up into place, we're gonna get our pads and our clips installed. We've got 3 on this side, and then you can just do the same on the other side. Peel the backing off that pad, slide it in right behind and wrap it around. And then take your clip, line it up, and slide it into place. And then we're just repeating that process on the rest of them. And then once you have those in, you can start threading in your screws. And then before you fully tighten these, you're gonna wanna do the same thing on the other side. I've already got my clips in over there. So now I'm gonna take a Phillips bit socket to tighten down all of these screws, and then we'll switch to the 10mm socket just to snug up those bolts at the bottom. I'm gonna start from the top center and just work my way back and forth down towards the bottom so that we pull this up before we tighten the bottom down. Then I'll switch to my 10mm socket and just snug up those bolts at the bottom. And then repeat on the other side. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Fender Flares front and rear in matte black for your 2009 to 14 F-150. Thank you for watching, and for all things F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.